Hi, this is Andrew Davey from Let's Talk Nevada, and we're here with Professor John Roemer, who's visiting here at FreedomFest. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, why are you here at FreedomFest and not, say, at Netroots Nation?
They didn't invite me.
Oh, well, we just watched the big debate, you and Whole Foods CEO John Mackey discussing the merits of socialism and capitalism. For probably even some of our readers wondering, well, what's this all about? Isn't our economy a mixture of both?
Well, our economy certainly has much more government involvement in it than it did 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's now the case that if you count state and local and federal taxes, about 30% of the GNP is collected in taxes and is moves through the government and is spent on public services and public goods and regulation and some redistribution and insurance. So in that sense, you could say it's socialist, but it's still largely a capitalist country. It's one of the most capitalist countries in the world. If you look at the distribution of wealth, you can see that the top decile owns 70% of the wealth. So that wouldn't be the case in a socialist country.
Now, I just touched on what seems to be a very key issue in this election, distribution of wealth, the 99% economic injustice. Why do you think now it's becoming such a big issue? One that now Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are talking about.
Well, I think it's become such a big issue, first of all, because wealth has become much more concentrated in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Economic growth has gone almost entirely to the top 5% of the population, so that the income of, let's say, the median family has grown a minuscule amount since 1990, whereas the income of the people in the top 1% has grown a great deal. I think that's one reason. And I think the other reason is the great crash that we had, the financial crisis in 2008, which really decreased the wealth, especially of people below the top decile, and caused a great deal of hardship, with houses being lost and jobs being lost and so on. So people are open to some alternative.
Yeah, what's interesting is that I guess if you break, as we've seen with polling, if you break it down issue by issue, it seems like Americans are open to to more of a public sector, or at least maintaining what we have. Yet there's still a stigma surrounding the S word. What do you say with with Bernie Sanders running for president this cycle, that maybe that stigma is starting to lessen?
Well, I was extremely gratified that Sanders was able to call himself a socialist, a democratic socialist,
And actually win a bunch of votes.
Get huge numbers of votes, especially from young people. And I think that shows that the stigma associated with the word socialism may be dying out with the new generation, the millennials. They did not go through the period of red baiting, long period of competition between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Cold War's been over.
Yeah, so I think that's very good. Sanders was not actually advocating a socialist platform. He was advocating a kind of a liberal, democratic, capitalist platform, which has been adopted in most European countries. So in Europe, Sanders would have been viewed as a middle-of-the-roader. He wouldn't have been viewed as a socialist. He was calling for various reforms and various kinds of redistribution, building up various